The resources, each institution will have a research committee, a nursing research committee or institutional research committee and ethical committee. When the samples are from vulnerable group of human being, it will undergo the institutional ethical committee, and we need to contact the secretary of the committee before we submit it. It is not simply writing and submitting to anyone. So whomever you send, please call and talk to them or meet them and tell them what you are sending on, what you expect from them. So here also, before you submit your proposal, you should talk to your guide, you should talk to the person whom you are submitting, the secretary of that committee, and then also keep in touch with them for various up-to-date information. Coming to bioethics and research, this is the most neglected area most often in the synopsis. So the acts of moral principle while conducting research to ensure rights and welfare of the individual, groups, community in the study, to protect the vulnerable group, safeguard the participants from the researchers, and to establish risk-benefit ratio. Any study topics you choose, it is very important to identify the benefit for these study subjects, which is almost many times 90% missed uh, in our setup. Many times the students and we want to do a study for gaining a degree or gaining a promotion, but the benefit to the study subjects are 0% many times. So it can be a descriptive study. You just grab their time and make them sit, listen to you, and then you write a project and you get your degree of promotion and they go. Without this type of attitude has to be taken off from fully from nursing. And any study which is done should have a methodology which will benefit the study subject. So that is part of the bioethics and also ethical aspect of the study. And study on human being where an intervention is applied can be called as interventional study because human being all respect, isn't it? We cannot make them under the experiment. We have to really consider that terminology. Experimental study, you cannot put everything and anything on the human being. It can only be called as interventional study. So we need to be very sensitive about these terminologies. Experiments can be done on animals, on inanimate objects, but not on the human beings. We call it as an interventional study. It can be an intervention which will addressing dignity, enough dignity to them while they undergo this particular study. Always think about the benefit of the study subjects, include the benefit in the methodology, select methodology which can include the benefit for the study subjects. We might argue descriptive study only describes, there may not be any benefit, but you provide some benefit to them in your methodology. Maybe the knowledge which you share to them, which can be useful. Give them a benefit of joining with another project. For example, I know a study on head injury being done in one of the intensive care unit on a severe head injury patients. And it was an interventional study and which could have been just left like that. But that researcher really made it a point, waited 6 months for another project to come where all the patients who were part of the study were given free rehabilitation. So she joined with that particular group of projects. So she will do the initial part of the study and then hand over to the rehabilitative aspect. And all 80% of her study subject got a lot of benefits and rehabilitation, and then they went out. Many of them made better. So like that, we need to really connect it with the various benefits that our study subjects can undergo and look for it and connect them with it. It is not only completing our assignments or obtaining the degree or obtaining the promotion. It should never stop with that. We have to go beyond it for the benefit of the study subject. And also they never take the study subject's time and money for granted. We cannot make them pay for even one pie for our study's sake. We might say that it's the regular routine, or it might be the regular procedure done. But then this has to be really, really, and they cannot spend any money or they cannot waste any of their time on account of our study. which we do. So the synopsis should really intervene all these things. Never make the study subject to pay an extra for your study's sake. It should be covered by our project. So write for a grant. And then when the grant is received, then you will be paying from the grant for all that what they have to spend for your study sake. Like even asking them to come for one extra visit for your study sake, it cannot be done just like that, even if the doctor cooperates. And better we pay for them because it's not a regular visit. And that has to be taken care. And that kind of integrity should be within us when we write the synopsis, when we make the methodology right. So that's one of the other aspect of the bioethics in synopsis writing. Time taken by administering questionnaire intervention need to be considered in the study subjects and this point of view. Be available to them for all their queries. Many times when we collect a questionnaire, when we disappear from the sites, when they might be wanting to ask a few more questions to them, we are not there. So make sure that you are available to the study subjects during your study, not only for obtaining the information, but also even after that, whenever they needed you. And study cannot be conducted only to obtain degree for a healthcare student, promotion of the healthcare personnel. We can never dilute this basic bioethics at any juncture of a research process being handed over to the next generation of nurses, because it is very important that we hand over to our next generation with a lot of ethical and integrity into it, so that it is not diluted when the days to come. Is there any danger in passing on the knowledge without care? When we pass on to the next generation without care, and there is danger because the knowledge is very sharp. And if it is not passed on adequately, it can really hurt. Unless you hand over it carefully, it will harm the person. And in fact, the whole generation, it would go on harming the human being as a result and outcome. This human being might be our patients. This human being might be the person who come to our PHC. This human being is a person who live in the community, and they will be affected. So what can we do? An illustration. All of us know a scalpel blade. All of us have handled it, and we know how sharp it is. And we compare this with the knowledge what we have, especially on the research process and the bioethics in the research. This is very, very sharp. If you just hand over this scalpel blade on the hand to the hand represent the next generation or the student whom you are teaching, or handing over to another person who is going to take over your research aspect. And if you give it in the raw hand like that, when she closes the hand, and all the sharp edges will harm, and it will cut, and then there will be bleeding, and it can really, really harm. And but in the same time, when the scalpel blades are kept in the handle and handed over to a surgeon, and he can cut and make a big, good vision in that area where he needs to do the surgery, and the unwanted part or the tumor can be removed very without any harm, and the good can be done, and the goodness can happen to the patient. So any knowledge, especially the process in the research and the bioethics, which is related to the research and study, blueprint of your study, which has to be handed over in care. With all the process, when we do it right, it will never bring harm to the society, and it will only bring goodness to the society. So let's remember this illustration, and never let us be careless in handing over our knowledge in a very careless way. Coming to the references, there can be 5 to 15 references. Use Vancouver style, and it has different way of writing for textbook, and this is the example for it. And I'm sure even it's very when you understand the pattern of writing, it is very easy, and the superscript is written, and as per the references, the numbers are written 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not by the alphabetical order. References from journal are written with the author's articles, title of the article, name of the journal, year of publication, volume, issue number, and page number. And as an example, it is given there. All the references to be compiled in this manner. The title can be biography, bibliography, or references. Edit and proofread before submission. A very neglected and forgotten task for many of our PG students. One of the component of synopsis writing is edit and proofread. Your synopsis will not be complete without editing and proofreading. Invest time on editing and proofreading for the better quality research. Take-home message, synopsis is the beginning. It is an absolute requirement for official purposes and also your ongoing study for the university, hospital, college authorities, HOD, guide, and for the research committee. It must be short, succinct, and it is your representative, the synopsis your representative, which is going to defend you. So it is important to be written complete. Before that, to be understood by the researcher in a very complete way by doing a lot of homework on that 15 points, 15 points what we discussed now, so that it can be made your process of research a very successful and meaningful one without any bioethical shortcoming or any other shortcoming of the research. Pitfalls can be avoided. So make your defender synopsis of your study as friendly, as beneficial for your study subjects. Never go forward for any study which will not bring benefits to your study subjects in any way, which might be argued that it is right. I needn't have to do this during the study. After my study, someone else can do it. So all those cannot be, it is not the way to do it. So every study must bring in some benefits to the study subject. I wish all the delegates the very best in your endeavors in the field of research. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You enrich our knowledge regarding the steps of synopsis writing, its introduction part, approaches, and framing titles, methodology, and bioethics and research. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for your enriching session. Next, the topic of our next session is strategies to develop review of literature will be dealt by her BSc Nursing, MSc Nursing in Vivekananda College of Nursing, Tiruchengot, Namakkal, Tamil Nadu. Currently pursuing PhD from Amada Vishwa Vidyapeetham University, Amada Institute of Medical Science, Edappally, Cochin, Kerala. She also had 13 years of collegiate experience and in 1.5 years of clinical experience. She had done 8 publications and guided MSc and BSc thesis and projects. Registered Science. I welcome you, Mr.
Thank you, Divya. Respected Principal, Dr. Lieutenant Colonel Rosie K.O., Vice Principal, Professor Dr. Nandini M., Dr. Angela Nyanadurai, Principal of Jubilee Mission College of Nursing, and Dr. Lewis Murray, and all the delegates and my dear students, a warm good morning to one and all. So here, I'm going to present an important topic which is always in our research process, which is nothing but review of literature. My topic is related to strategies to develop review of literature. So every thesis okay, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So the strategies to develop a review of literature. Here, by starting itself, that is, in every thesis, we have a knowledge that the second chapter is regarding review of literature. In fact, the review of literature should be started from beginning of the session, starting from the statement, that is, what you are going to done for the particular research or thesis, what you are going to conduct. The review of literature help you to find those things, and at the same time, for every chapter, we will discuss with others review, that is others research paper or with the review of literature. So let us begin. In this session, we'll be learning some of the things, that is meaning, definitions of review of literature, characteristics, purpose, importance, types, sources, and the difference between research paper and literature review, and skills of review of literature, ethical considerations for review of literature, and process, steps, and tips for writing review of literature. So, begin with meaning of review of literature. The term literature, it refers to a collection of published information or materials on a particular area of research or topic, such as books, journals, and articles of academic value. And the review means to review or to view or see again. So those words combined together, review of literature. So the review of literature is nothing but it discusses on public information in a particular subject area within a certain period of time. And others says that the review of literature is an overview of the previously published works on a specified topic. Coming to the definition of review of literature, it is a body of text that aims to review the critical points of knowledge on a particular topic of research, which is given by ANA. And another definition says that review of literature is defined as broad, comprehensive, in-depth, systematic, and critical review of scholarly publication, unpublished, printed, or audiovisual materials, and personal communication, which is given by S.K. Sharma. So moving to the characteristics of review of literature, yes, of course, it is a synthesis of multiple resources and connects and brings together a number of sources, often with a single paragraph and indeed sentences. And another characteristic says that it gives that it evaluates research on a specific topic. So why do we write review of literature? So actually, it provides with a handy guide to a particular topic, and professionals. For the professionals, this review of literature keep them up to date with the current situation and what is happening in the field, in their particular field. And for the research scholars, it gives a depth and breadth of the review of literature, emphasize the credibility of the writer on his or her field. And definitely, it provides a solid background for a researcher's investigation. And it will justify your own research. That's why we are supporting with review of literature in every chapter, and to establish originality in the context of selected research topic, and compare the methodological approaches. You can compare the methodological approach, what the previously done for the particular research, and to raise further research question. At the end of the session, we used to raise some of the in further research questions. What should be done the next through recommendations. So next we'll move on to importance of review of literature. Actually, this review of literature acts as a stepping stone towards the achievement of the study objectives. We used to create study objectives, and we will be supporting with those review of literature for the whether these objectives are achieved or not. And the second importance of review of literature, it provides a solid background to one's investigation. And another importance says that it helps the researcher to avoid duplication and identify the gaps. So, types of review literature. There are many types of review of literature, but in nursing research, we used to conduct, or we used to see these two types of review of literature, that is traditional or a narrative literature and systematic review, that is meta-analysis and meta-synthesis. So let us see what is traditional or narrative literature. So the traditional and narrative literature, it provides critic and summarized literature to draw conclusion about a topic, and it identifies the gaps or inconsistency in a body of knowledge. And the process is subject to bias that supports researchers' own work. And coming to the systematic review of literature, so actually, this is the method what we are using in nursing research. We usually use in nursing research, and this method uses more well-defined approach, mainly used for making a complete list of all published and unpublished studies relating to a particular topic. As we have lot of review of literature, we have lot of review of literature that should be that may be published or unpublished studies relating to particular topic. Topic, and that provides us a well-defined approach. And in meta-analysis, it is a type of systematic review literature. But here, the reviews takes large quantitative findings and conducts a statistical analysis to integrate those findings, enhance their understandings. And this integrates findings from large body of quantitative findings. So the study units can be analyzed in this meta-analysis. And in meta-synthesis, this is non-statistical method used to integrate and evaluate and interpret the findings of multiple similar quantitative studies to identify the common elements and common themes, etc. So, we used to conduct both the research approaches, that is quantitative and qualitative research, but we have certain criteria, or we should concentrate on what I am going to search, whether it is for qualitative research or quantitative research. If it is mostly we used to conduct, especially our PG students like to conduct quantitative research because they will get more research or review of literature, something else. So let us see what can be done or what are the things to be in your mind while searching for quantitative research. So in quantitative research, so the researcher can conduct extensive literature search on the topic of interest. So, and you can include many amount of literature for the direction for the research questions. But coming to qualitative research, you should keep some of the things in your mind, that is used in a manner consistent with the methodology, assumptions, and used inductively. So it does not direct questions asked by the research. And we know we have 4 types of qualitative research, and each type should have certain criteria for collecting the review of literature or writing the review of literature. So let us see one by one. In phenomenological review, the review will be done after the data collection to avoid the subjectivity. So, for example, if the researcher is interested in finding out the experience of mothers having a children with a chronic illness, terminal, it is possible to get, you will get many of the researchers related to the things, but you should not collect. That is, it should be done after your data collection. And next is an ethnographic research. So here you can collect the research process, but review will be done early in the research process before formulating a thing, topic, you can review the literature. And in grounded theory, the review will be performed to know anyone has done it the same or not. Only for the early research should be performed to know anyone has done the thing same in the previous area or not. And you can collect the review for giving a background for the research. And next is historical review research. That is, a review will be done to develop the research questions. But you can extensively go for review literature. But keep in your mind, you can develop the questions by the review of literature. Only for creating questions, you can do the review of literature in historical search. So next we'll move on to the sources of review of literature. You know everything that is related to sources of review of literature. The number one is primary sources, and second is secondary sources, and third one is the tertiary sources. The primary source is nothing but the original material that provide first-hand records of events, experiments, creative works, or statistics. For example, research article, unpublished thesis or dissertation, personal diary, handwritten records or reports, etc. And coming to the secondary sources, it is a second-hand information, and it has been written by someone other than the original author. So examples are newspaper, book chapters, television, radio, magazine, Wikipedia, journals, etc. And coming to the tertiary sources, they synthesize and explain work of others that may be useful at an early stage but weak for researchers' arguments. That is, fact book, guide, manual. Those things are synthesized and explain the work of others, not their own work. So there are these are the main sources which are primary, secondary, tertiary. These are the sources, books and dictionaries that will be available in your hand or in our library, and journals also, journals and conference papers, the thesis, the previous thesis in the library or in the universities, and encyclopedia, research reports, and electronic database. Here, I would like to state some of the electronic database and online journal which is available in our nursing profession. Those things are key electronic databases, Medline or PubMed. It is a public interface to Medline, and it provides access to bibliographic information in Medline as well as additional life science journals. Website is www.ncbi.nlm.nih.government.pubmed. Another electronic database is ERIC. It is a large source of education information, and the website is eric.ed.gov. And some other electronic databases in our Cumulative Index to Nursing and Allied Health Literature. It is available online from 1982. It also looks for articles on nursing topics that are peer-reviewed and appear nursing journals. This is the website, epscoshhost.com.nursing.progress.sinhal. And next is Indexing Indian Medical Journal. This is free access to everyone. So the website is indmed.nic.in. And the other databases are Cochrane Library. It is an international non-profit organization that prepares, maintains, and disseminates systematic up-to-date review on healthcare intervention. The website is www.thecochrane.library.com. Then Google Scholar, it is a multidisciplinary website that is everyone can refer there. The website is google.com. And some online journals which is especially available for nursing, that is Online Journal of Issues in Nursing, Association of Operating Room Nurses, STTI, Honor Society of India, National Institute of Nursing Research, then Graduate Research in Nursing, Then critical evidence, www.clinicalevidence.org, then Agency for Health Research and Quality. So these are the some online journals and online database available for us. So let us see what are the differences between research paper and review of literature. Research paper, of course, we are writing research paper as a primary source, but everywhere the review of literature should be the secondary source. So let us see what is the difference between research paper and review of literature. So research paper is the primary source, that is original research conducted by the real author. But in research review, it is a secondary source, it is a published article. And the purpose of research paper is to present unique investigation of a specific question, but in literature review, critically analyze previously published literature. Will be, that is, the person who is writing the review of literature is critically analyzing previously published paper, and that will be arranged in a certain format. And writing the research paper, it is based on the analysis and interpretation of data, because the researcher has conducted the project. So it has been done based on the analysis and interpretation of data. But in literature review, it attempts to present an overview of topics' current state of understanding, what the person has understood regarding the published journal. So they are taking the overview of topic. So the report, in research paper, the researcher is reporting each step in detail. You know, as a PG students, you know every step you will be written or you are writing in a detailed way. But in literature review, it identifies and reports commonalities between results and the chosen studies. That will be dealing with how you can write the review of literature. That will be dealing in the later slides. And length, it depends on, that is research paper, it depends on the specification, that is specification by the journal. But in literature review, there is no word limit. As we arranging the content, you can conclude with the review of literature, no word limit. So what are the skills required in review of literature? As the researcher, what are the skills while reading the review? It may be journal, or it may be database, or it may be from the books. You should have certain skills how to do the review of literature or how to write the review of literature. First and foremost thing is critical thinking skill. That is, while reading the things, you should critically analyze or clearly analyze what is the rationale behind the particular topic and understand the content. That is the main thing you should know. And while critical thinking, you should follow certain things, then understand logical connections between the ideas in review, that is journal article, or in the internet reviews. They may be said to say so many things in the writings. So understand, while reading, you have to understand what is the logical connection between those ideas, whether it is connected each other, statement, objectives, aims, goals, whether it is connected or not. And identify, construct, and evaluate the arguments. Then detect inconsistencies and common mistakes of the particular things that should be avoided. And systematic problem solving and justification while thinking, while reading the journal content, or while reading the content, you should think whether it is whether there is any mistakes in the review or any inconsistency, etc. So another skill to be there, that is critical reading skills. That is the thing always neglecting by us, especially the students. Critical reading skills. They will read everything, but they will not come with exacting. So it is an active, intellectually engaging process in which the reader participates in inner dialogue with the writer. That is, while reading the content, in each and every content, you have to talk with the writer. What? Ask questions. What? How? Etc. Then critical appraisal skill. It is a process of evaluate the material and assess validity of the content, whether the content is valid or not. It is reliable one or not. You have to critically appraise. And information seeking skill, that is the final skill a researcher should know. That is information seeking skill. That is, it is the ability to scan literature efficiently and effectively. So next we'll move on to what is the ethical consideration in review of literature. What the researcher should know or keep in your mind. This ethical consideration is necessary for the review of literature. That is nothing but plagiarism. As you know, plagiarism is nothing but imitating others' things, other notes or other content. So avoid plagiarism in review of literature. Next, we'll move on to process of review of literature. So it is taken by Machi and McAvoy. So there are 6 steps in process of review of literature. First step is select a topic. Second is search the literature. Third one is develop the argument. Fourth one is survey the literature. And fifth is critique the literature. And sixth one is write the literature. So first is selection of the topic. So in selection of the topic, you have to establish research questions and organize the literature. So while searching the literature, you have to, before searching the literature, you have a selection. You have to select a topic. For example, I would like to conduct a research in hypertension or lifestyle disease or diabetes mellitus. You know, it is a vast thing. So you have to make a broader, at the same time, you have to make a narrower topic in the particular topic, particular research question. So select a topic according to your interest, and that should be in a both area. You have to create the things in a broader way. At the same time, you have to use narrower terms for the research question. And search the literature. So begin with searching the literature. So look for your empirical or theoretical literature, and that includes your primary source, secondary source, and tertiary source. Search and read. And once you started searching, you will come to see many of the books, thousands of books or hundreds of books or articles, etc. So develop an argument by reading a thing. That is, the argument can be by surveying or critiquing. These are the 2 steps in this development of argument. Develop an argument, that is, build a case for what is known about the topic and to determine how this knowledge addresses the research question, or the content which you are reading is whether it is helpful for my research question, or whether how I could address the particular article to my research question. So survey the literature. Here nothing but we have to ask questions to the particular article and develop a discovery arguments and advocacy arguments, and critically assess each piece of literature gathered to analyze the content. After surveying, you can keep on critiquing the literature and skim and read the content, highlight and extract the key elements from the content. You can divide the articles, themes and sub-themes, etc. And you can skim it out and read the content and highlight. Or I used to say to my students, that is, you can keep a highlighter or a pen to underline the highlight or highlighting the topics or themes or sub-themes, etc. So you can extract the key elements from the critiquing the literature. Then the final step is writing the literature. They use the results of analysis and critique of the literature to develop the organization review and develop a detailed outline and identify themes and or patterns that have emerged and translate these into headings and subheadings. Here comes our review of literature, writing the review of literature. So after doing all those things, you can come to a conclusion, yes, this article is helpful for my literature or helpful for my research question. So start writing the review of literature. So develop a detailed outline for the particular research, identify the themes, sub-themes or the points you have acquired from the particular article and translate into headings and subheadings and be logical, and be selective with the review. So before writing the review of literature, you should be in your mind, you keep in your mind that what is not review of literature. First thing is, review of literature is not the bibliography. Bibliography is nothing but citation of the books or articles. So listing of the articles or books. So review of literature are not bibliographies, and review of literature are not subjective. So what should I do before writing the literature? So these are the things to be done. So final step is writing the literature. So before writing, what should I do? So first and foremost thing is clarifying. That is here the clarification of doubts. Obviously, you will have a supervisor or a guide or professor to supervise you or guide you. So you can ask to make clarification with your guide. That is, how many sources are needed for my topic, and what are the types of sources I have to refer, whether it is an article or whether it is journal or whether it books or website, etc. And then how to evaluate these sources, whether it is good or not. You have to ask your professor for that, and find models. For every colleges, if it is a PG college, definitely you will have models of dissertation thesis in your library. So find the models, review those models, and find out in which way they have written the review of literature, and where are second chapter, especially the second chapter, review of literature, and you have to read how they have performed or how they have written those things, how many reviews they have added for all those things. So find models and narrow down your topic. That's what I told you. You have hundreds of topics or hundreds of things regarding your particular question or research questions, but you have to narrow down into themes and sub-themes and search it out and start to begin to write the thing. Then consider whether sources are current or not, because the current sources, we are behind evidence-based practice and current literature. So always select the current sources of review of literature. So coming to steps in writing literature, follow these steps while writing the review of literature. Definitely the review of literature should have three steps, that is introduction, body, and conclusion or recommendation. So introduction should have that will clarify, defines the purpose and focus of the study and restate your research question, and you can briefly summarize the whole context by highlighting the literature gaps. And if it is a standalone literature, provide background information on the topic and discuss the scope of literature in your research objectives. So moving to the body of the literature, make several sections and subsections, provide an overview of the key points. Do not just paraphrase others' research. Make sure it is right in your interpretations, and discuss the significance of your findings in relation to the research, and state the strength and weakness of the sources. In your review of literature, after completing the title of the study or the year and the objectives, you should come to conclusion. That is, after writing all those things, state the strength and weakness of your particular sources. Make use of transition and topic sentences to write well-structured body paragraph. So that should be in a chronological order, that is according to the publication date, and thematic order, that is sources are arranged in terms of themes or topics they cover, and methodological way, that is it is focuses on methods of researcher or writer. So coming to the conclusion session, it summarizes key findings and emphasize their significance, and you can demonstrate the research gaps and your contributions. Also discuss how you have developed the research framework by using theories and methods, and you can provide recommendations, some implications to practice, education, and research. So these are the three steps, or these are the three elements should be included in your review of literature. That is, you should have introduction, body and conclusion. So tips for writing review of literature. The sentences. You can express one idea in a sentences and ensure that it has subject, verb, and object. Can you mute the mic? So next is while writing the paragraph, use new for each topic or aspect, and grammar, use appropriate comma, colon, semicolon, etc. or otherwise the meaning will be changed, and to transitional words. Use words to link the sentences or paragraphs, something like hence, moreover, thus, though, etc. etc. So after writing all of the things, you have to edit your thing. That is the foremost thing you have to do before submission of thesis of anything. That is, do editing. So this is the summary of the information required in a review of literature. You should have title of the study, that is according to the introduction, body, and conclusion. You should have all of these, that is title of the study, author and year of publication, purpose and type of study, or objectives or aims, etc. Then setting of the study, what method they have chosen for data collection, and appraisal criteria of the particular study, and content of the study, and what are the major findings in the particular study, and recommendations and the implications for the future reference or future studies, key thoughts or comments of the particular study, and summary and conclusion. These are the summary of every review of literature. So by this, we'll be coming to the end of the session. Still you are not confident about review of literature, there are few steps to understand. So first thing is, do extensive research. That is, you know what are the sources of review of literature, or what are the things to be searched before starting every step. So do extensive research. Gather all the text and explore various sources in your library or in and around you or in the internet. So do extensive research as much as possible and develop ideas logically. So start brainstorming to evolve ideas. That is, critically think, critically read your topic, and write and start writing. And use right keywords. That is, avoid unnecessary words or avoid unnecessary sentences in your writings, and use only the relevant materials, whatever needed for the topic. And ask for help when in need. That is nothing but clarify your doubts wherever, whenever needed. So learn about requirements, that is, understand the need of the review of literature. Wherever you need the review of literature, you can include the review of literature. And summarize and synthesize your topic and keep your own words. Don't paraphrase as the researchers review, as like what they have written in there. You can use your own words. Use evidences and be selective in your words. And last step is nothing but review, revise, revise. You can revise the topic always till the end of your research. So this is the end of my topic. As a conclusion, once you complete your review of literature, you start writing, and after review of literature, you can read the review of literature, and that should answer you. After reading the review of literature, that should answer you who are the key researchers on this topic, and what has been the focus of the research effort so far, and what is the current status of the particular research, and how have certain studies built on prior studies. Where are the connections? Are there any new interpretation of the research? And have there any controversies or debate about the research? Is there any some consensus? Are there any contradictions? And which areas have been identified as needing further research? Have any pathways have suggested? And how will your topic uniquely contribute to the body of knowledge? And which methodologies have researchers used and which appear to be the most productive? And what source of information or data are identified that may be useful to you? And how does your particular topic fit into the larger context of what has already been done? And how has the research that has already been done helped frame your current investigation? So by this, I'm concluding myself. Hope you got some idea regarding review of literature.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening our knowledge on review of literature, its importance, type, source of review of literature, skills required in review of literature, ethical consideration, process, steps and tips of writing review of literature. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for your informative session. Before entering into next session, for few instructions to the delegates. Kindly fill up the feedback form given in the chat box. E-certificates will be provided to the participants before submitting the feedback form. The third session of our webinar is an art of reference writing, will be dealt by Ms. L. Lewis Morey, PhD scholar, Associate Professor, Department of Child Health Nursing, AIMS, New Delhi, who involved in teaching nursing for more than a decade, keeping interest in newborn care, quality improvement, and stimulation. Currently pursuing PhD from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science, Indian Nursing Council Consortium. I welcome you, ma'am, for the session.
Divya, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So firstly, my greetings from Delhi to all of you who are listening.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
immensely grateful to the principal, Dr. Rosie K.O. of Ashwini College of Nursing, Trishur, for giving me this privilege to present a session before you today. So just let me start by sharing my slide. Sorry, there was an interruption from my side. Actually, I'm using my mobile data today because I sit in a room where there are other teachers also sitting. So hopefully there will not be any interruptions in between. Let me just share.
Okay, ma'am.
So is my slide visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am.
Okay. It in slideshow mode.
Yeah, it's visible, ma'am. It's clear, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So the topic is art of reference writing. The outline would be, we will be talking about what is referencing and why is it important and what are the basic referencing elements and when will you cite a source in your writing and what are the various styles of referencing. I came to know from Divya that you are using the Vancouver system. So we will discuss mostly on the Vancouver system. Through my laptop, how does Zotero look like and how you will use Zotero for your referencing and some of the common problems with referencing and tips. So that will be the outline. When we talk about referencing, as I remember way back in my MSc, I actually did my MSc nursing from CMC Vellore, and I have been to Thrissur also. There was one classmate of mine who was from Malappuram, and it's nice to be talking to you all today. And as a student, when I think back, and I'm sure you all must be going through right now, putting in a reference, citing is not easy. And especially when you are doing manually, it takes a lot of time. And the Vancouver system, again, you are using numbers. So every time you add a new reference, you have to change the number. And it can be, time-consuming work. And there is a lot of pain involved, all right? But the good news is that you don't need to be in pain, all right? There are, resources which are there to help you. And I hope that this class will be able to clarify some of your doubt regarding referencing. So what is referencing? When we talk about referencing, it is the practice of including detailed information on all sources consulted, both within your text, that is the in-text citation, which comes at the end of the sentence and at the end of your thesis manuscript, that is the reference list. Okay, so both together are known as referencing. So there's one book which has defined referencing as reference is a way to present other people's work or ideas, usually in relation to one's own. Okay, so what it means, you are doing a thesis or you are writing a paper, that is your work, but you are using other people's work in your work. Okay, so ideally, when we use other people's work, what we should do? We should acknowledge the original source. Okay, so by acknowledging the original source of knowledge in the document, or it can be even a presentation also. So even in my presentation, at the end of my presentation, I should be having a reference, the resources which I have used to prepare this presentation. So it can be a thesis, it can be a review of literature, a standalone review of literature. So in the previous class, you had a session on review of literature. So I'm sure the resource person must have clarified to you. Review of literature can be a part of the thesis, or it can be a standalone as a manuscript. You want to publish an article on some topic of your interest. So whatever it may be, your document, okay? The reference has to be, there, okay, acknowledging the various documents. You can be books, it can be journals, whatever you have referred. It can be an internet source, okay? So those has to be there in your at the end of your document or your work. So we use citation and reference. So what is the difference? So when we say citation, I've given an example here. So there's a sentence which is coming here. Untreated diabetes insipidus can cause hypovolemia, dehydration, and electrolyte imbalance. So this sentence has been taken from a manuscript, an article. So here there is a number given. This is a Vancouver system. In a square bracket, there's a number coming. So this is nothing but the citation. So at the end of the article, there comes the reference. This is the reference part, all right? So it is taken from a journal, okay, which has been abbreviated according to the Vancouver system. We will talk about that later. So this is the in-text citation that we are talking about, and the detailed part which comes later on, usually at the end of the document, is the reference, all right? So why is it important? Okay, so we are writing your own work. So why you want to reference to a source? So I think one of the foremost thing that comes to mind is that we need to give credit to the original work. We are actually drawing from that original work, all right? So if you are quoting someone else's work without giving credit, then actually you are taking part in something known as plagiarism. So everyone is familiar with this word, I think. So in order to avoid plagiarism, we are crediting whatever we have taken from that original source, okay, to the in our work, okay. So that is the first reason why we are using a reference, right? Then of course there are intellectual property rights, okay, so we need to respect them. It is legal also that we should respect the intellectual property rights. So you cannot just take a picture from anywhere and use it in your PowerPoints, you know, or in your books or in your thesis. You need to have proper you know, permission for them. Okay, so whenever, it may not be a written permission, but you have to quote the source, all right, that I have taken this from this book or from this internet. So the source has to be quoted, okay, so that you respect the intellectual property rights. And then the third reason is to provide evidence and add authenticity to your work. Okay, that means when you add the previous body of work which is already there, that adds depth to your work. Okay, people will read your work, and then people will read your thesis, and then they will say that yes, this person, this student has done enough work. It has gone to the depth of the knowledge of his or her topic and has done justice. Okay, so you are providing credible evidence, a scientific evidence and authenticity to your work. Okay, so when I say your work, most of you, I think you are in PG, so your thesis, okay? And of course, when you do a very good work, then people will appreciate and people will again cite you, okay? They will use you in their work, okay? Then the next is to direct readers to the original source of information. Okay, so when you cite and you give the reference, then they can go back. Okay, so we call it as footnote chasing also, like or bibliography chasing. If you're going directly to the reference, okay, maybe you can call it as reference chasing. So you actually go back to the the reference of people's work. Okay, aapne kuch sorry, I should not use Hindi. So if you have read some article, and then if it is actually a systematic review, then you will get so many past work, the original work which people have done on that topic in a single article. So you can follow them up, okay, and you can read in detail about the original source of information, because once you have used that information, it becomes a secondary to them, to the others who are reading your work. All right, so your references will direct the readers to the original source of information. I hope this is clear. So what are the basic citation or the basic referencing elements? Okay, so we have the author, then the title of the article or the book, okay, then the source, volume, example, the name of the journal it was published, or conference where it was presented. If it is a book, then the editors, the volume and edition, date or year of publication, the page numbers, city, country, publisher or university for thesis. Then if it is an online source, then you need to mention something known as the URL, that is the online link, okay? And nowadays, all the journals are having the DOI, okay, the Digital Object Identifier, I will show you in the next slide. That also has to be mentioned. And if it is an online source, which is subject to change, because the internet, the online websites, they are regularly updated time to time. Okay, it may be 6 monthly or it can be 1 yearly. Knowledge is changing every time. So the source has to have the retrieval date. Okay, so we will see some examples also. So for example, this is an article, okay, which is taken from one journal, and this is the author. We have only one author, all right, and then you have the year, and then you have the title of the article and the volume, okay, and the page number. This is actually not Vancouver, okay. This is not Vancouver because there is a comma here, and there is no abbreviated. The journal's name is not abbreviated. The page number is given full, okay. This is more of an APA, okay, and the DOI is given. This is the DOI, okay. So like this, it will have all the information that you need to access this source, all right. So what is the DOI and why is it so important? So a DOI is a unique alphanumeric string assigned by a registration agency. And what is the registration agency? The International DOI Foundation, to identify content and provide a persistent link to its location on the internet. So that means when you have the DOI of a journal, this is like the home address of the journal, okay, that article. So there is, you have, just like you have a physical address in the internet, this is a, you know, a link, a persistent link for that article, and it will not change, okay. So the publisher will assign the DOI when an article is published and made available electronically. So you can see this an example given here, okay. The DOI can be like this, or it can be like this also, all right. So any of the format can be used. So when we cite, look at example of the how to cite an internet source, that time we will see more about how the DOI and URL is, you know, looking, okay. So now, when to cite a source, okay. So when you are starting to write your thesis, when will you, you know, use as a citation? So when you, the first instance is when you quote the exact word of the authors. So in medical literature, we don't usually do this a lot, but when I say quotation, it's like this. There's an example of quotation in Vancouver style. So there are two types you can quote. There's a short quotation, which is less than 40 words. So the example is like, Cooper notes that longitudinal and cross-sectional studies suggest an association between increasing N325 intake and cognitive function. After that, you can notice the number 4 is the, you know, the citation is given, and the page number is also given. So this is superscript, all right. So this short quotations which are less than 40 words should have an inverted comma, all right. Can you see this inverted comma? Because you are exactly quoting whatever is written by that our author, all right. So it has to be coming in a comma, inverted comma, and the page number also has to be there with the citation, all right. So this is for short quotation. If it is a long quotation, that is you're taking more than 40 words, then you'll have to lay it out in a separate paragraph of text and indented clearly from the left margin, okay. And you don't need to use the inverted comma. So this example I'm showing you. So this is a text which is taken out from the same article, which was written by somebody known as Cooper, and suppose you have quoted this in your thesis. So this source, you know, the paragraph has been indented to the left, okay, from the left margin. So so here you can see there's a gap here from the original line. And the font size is also one or two sizes smaller, and the citation is given. There are no inverted comma. Okay, so this is how you do a quotation. Then we can cite by paraphrasing also. So paraphrasing or is this stating the idea of others in your own words.
Okay, so that's a very common thing that we do in writing our thesis. So usually the review of literature will come, the citations will usually come in that chapter, the review of literature, or in the discussion section of your thesis. Okay, so in both places, we use, paraphrasing and summarizing in order to present our quotations, our citations. All right, so by paraphrasing, you can do, then referring to data or data sets also. So sometimes we may need to copy a table or even an image, okay, a figure. Okay, so in that case also you need to put citations. Then a reprint of a long text passage or a copyrighted text item. All right, so like your tools. Okay, so when you put the tools also, when you explain your tools, if it is a validated tool, you have taken from some other, you have taken permission from some other author, then there also you have to, give a reference. Okay, a citation followed by a reference. Reprint of a figure or a table, including free image and diagrams from the internet, even when free or licensed via Creative Commons. All right, so some images can be given in the internet, but then you need to give the right referencing for them also. Okay, you cannot just use it, and in case if you just publish it, then you may be in legal trouble if you are using some other people's image, which are already copyright. Okay. So we have discussed about the quotations. Now, what are the various styles of referencing? Okay, so you are using the Vancouver, so we are going to talk more about this. There are others like Harvard. So Harvard is usually used in the non-medical field a lot, in the social sciences and other sciences. And the APA style also, in the undergraduate level, we usually tell the students to use APA. And Chicago Manual style, Modern Language Association, like that, so many other styles are there. Each style is unique and it has advantages and disadvantages. Vancouver is usually very much used in medical science, and because it doesn't interrupt the text, and it is, it's simpler for using. So you can see, let's see something about the Vancouver style. So the Vancouver style follows rules established by the International Committee of Medical Journals Editors, or the ICMJE. So sometimes you may find this mentioned, okay, ICMJE. So this is now maintained by the US National Library of Medicine. And it is a close link with the PubMed, okay, the database which you have learned, because that is from the National Library of Medicine. So it is also known as Uniform Requirements for Manuscript submitted to biomedical journals, or it can be simply known as the author number system also. So it is a numbered referencing style commonly used in medicine and science, and it consists of citations to someone else's work in the text indicated by the use of a number. I'm sure all of you are familiar. And a sequentially numbered reference list at the end of the document, providing full details of the corresponding index reference. So you have a citation in the text itself by a number, and then sequentially, according to the number 1, 2, 3, 4, the reference will follow. So references are listed in numerical order and in the same order in which they are cited in the text. The reference list appears at the end of the paper. And we should begin our list on a new page and title it as reference. Okay, so this in your thesis, you have to do this. And we always use Arabic numerals, which we are comfortable with. And the journal titles are abbreviated in the style used in the National Library we are talking about in their catalog. Okay, so NLM we call it, National Library for Medicine. That is the US. Okay, so you can just type NLM catalog and you will be able to find, okay, the abbreviated journal title. So in Vancouver style, we don't write the journal as a full the full journal name, but it is abbreviated. So let's discuss one by one, like few of the examples. So like in scholarly journal articles, so this is something which we all are doing, and as student you will be doing in your thesis, because in the thesis you are encouraged to use the primary source. Okay, so what we have to do, we enter the author's surname followed by no more than 2 initials, and then followed by full stop. So there is no comma in between the journal, in between the name of the or title, the surname of the author and the initial. Okay, so we abbreviate it to 2 only, the initials. And if there are more than one author, give all authors' names and separate each by comma and a space. Okay. For articles with 1 to 6 authors, we list all the authors. And if the articles have more than 6 authors, then we list only the first 6 and then add all. Only the first word of the article title and words that normally begin with a capital letter are capitalized. All right, so we don't need to capitalize all the words which are in the article title. All right, please remember. So only those which are normally beginning with a capital letter, like the common noun or something, the name of the place or medical diagnosis, which needs to be capitalized. If it is something like that, only you have to capitalize. You don't need to use sentence cap for all. Okay. Then the journal titles are abbreviated, as we have already talked. Then follow the date with a semicolon, abbreviate months to their first 3 letters. There is no full stop after the month. Okay, we will see example also. And give the volume number, no space, followed by issue number in brackets. If the journal has continuous page numbering through its volumes, omit month issue. Okay, so some journals, they have a continuous numbering system. Okay, throughout the volume. So in that case, you may not give the month issue number. And abbreviate page number whenever possible. So for example, page number 123 to 129 is abbreviated like this. Okay, so 1 is not put here. So looking at the example, okay, so see here, there's an example given for articles with 1 to 6 authors. So the author name is coming, sorry, not name, the surname is coming, and then the abbreviated name, the initial, okay, and there is no comma in between, no full stop in between. Okay, this is a Vancouver system, and there is no and or here, okay, there is no and here, see. So, like for example, there are 4 authors here, but after the second last, we are not putting any and. Okay, then the title of the article has come, followed by a full stop, and then the abbreviated title of the journal, and the year, okay, of publication, followed by the month, and the volume, okay, the issue, and the page number. So this is how it is to be written. If there are more than 6 authors, you can follow this. All right, I can share with you the PDF of my presentation if you want. And I can also share one PDF file which has some of the tips for writing references in Vancouver system. Maybe I can share it with Divya, and Divya can circulate. All right. Then in electronic journal articles, so most of us nowadays are comfortable using online. And most of the library also, they have started subscribing electronic journals only these days. So mostly we will be using this system. Okay, so here the difference is that the word internet is there, okay, after the abbreviated journal title. So in square bracket, it has to be there. And then the date cited, the date that you are citing that article has to be there in the square bracket after the date of publication. So online journal articles usually has a date of publication, which is not there in print journals. Okay, see, there's no date here. All right. So you have to mention the date also if you are using an electronic journal. The URL has to be mentioned at the end of the reference along with the DOI number. Okay. So let's see an example. There's this example of one article. So after the title of the article, here comes the abbreviated name of the journal, and then the internet is mentioned in square bracket. All right, and the citation is here. The date of publication is not given, so it is not written. So now the citation, that means the date you have cited the article. Okay, that is given here. All right, and followed by the other details. And this is an extra you have to write, okay, available from, this is the URL, okay, and this is the DOI, okay. So sorry, this is the URL only, this here is the DOI, okay, in the second article. So usually nowadays, all the electronic journals will have the DOI. So you have to mention this also. Especially when you go for publication in index journals, then they will be very strict in telling you that all your references should be having the DOI. So you may also refer to books and book chapters. So for book and book chapters also you need to follow the format which is given. Okay, so here you have the author followed by the, here it can be a print book or an electronic book. So in print book we have to write the edition if it is not first. If it is first edition, you don't need to write, okay, first edition in the square bracket. You just need to give the title of the book, the place of publication, publisher, year of publication, and the page. Okay, so in the internet, again, you have to put the cite it as an internet source, and if available, then you have to write the URL DOI. Okay, so here the examples are given. I'm so sorry here. Because of the lack of space, the DOI URL has been cut, but it is there. Okay, it should be there here, just below this. Okay. So these are some examples, and if it is an edited book, okay, so in an edited book, you have to first mention the author of that chapter, okay, excuse me, the author of the chapter and the title of the chapter, and then you have to mention it as in editor A, B, okay, whatever, whoever is the editors, and mention it as editors, all right? So here it is more clearer. So in this book, the name of the book is Equalities and Inequalities in Health. The chapter will come first, okay, in edited book. So this is the name of the chapter. This chapter was written by these two people, and the book was edited by these two persons. Okay, so you are giving it as like this, and then followed by the edition, the place, okay, and where it was published, the publisher's name, year, and the page number. All right. So in the internet version, then you have to put the internet also along with the URL DOI. Okay. So and the cited is important because it may change. Okay. Suppose you have cited this in the November 2012. All right. So the website may update in January. So suppose you give your publication, you publish your thesis in June 2013. Then when the people, when they go back to your this thing, your bibliography, sorry, your reference, and they may not find the same information. And if you write the citation date, you are safe because they will not be able to say that you have given a wrong information to them. Okay, so that's why the date of citation is very important. So if you are referring to a web site, the web page, then again you have to write it in this manner. All right. So here, see, this is the title of the homepage you have to write. Okay. This is taken from the Diabetes Australia, Diabetes Globally, and from the internet it is taken, and where it is published, okay, if it is written, all right. And from where, in some web page, you will find that the updated date is given, okay, in some of the credible websites you will see. So you need to write that also, and when it was updated and when you had cited it. Okay, and then followed by the URL and if there is DOI, usually DOI is not there in web page, the URL has to be there, right? So these are some of the examples. When you write it in your own thesis only, you will be much clearer, and you may need to write, 4 or 5 references in order to be accurate and in order to gain confidence. Okay, this is just for your clarity at this point. So let's talk about in-text citations. So when you use in-text citations, you may have confusion whether to use. You may see that in some articles they are using square, some they are using round, and some they are not even using brackets. All right, so anyone can be used. Any of these styles can be used as long as it is consistent. And you need to check from your library, from your college, which style is to be followed by the students. So in some colleges, you may be comfortable with using it as as square, or it may be a bracket, or it may be non-bracketed also. Okay, so universally anything is accepted, unless as long as it is consistent. You have to be consistently using, and you need to check from your college, okay, which one is to be done. And superscripts can be used rather than brackets, like example like this. Okay, the superscript is also followed, or it can be in a bracketed in a full non-superscript format. This your college can decide which is the rule in that college. Okay, so that all the students can follow a consistent manner of citation. References numbers should be inserted to the left or inside of columns and semicolons. So if usually it comes after the script. So once you write the sentence at the left, it will come, and if there is a colon or a semicolon at the end of the text, then it has to be inside that. If it is a full stop, then outside. Okay, I hope that is clear. I'll just repeat once more. If the sentence is followed by a semicolon or a colon, then you need to cite the reference inside. But if it is a full stop, then usually after the full stop. Okay, but you can check from the faculty, from your college, or even when you go for publication, the journal will give you instructions on what to follow. So accordingly, you can follow their format. Okay, so there is no hard and fast rule that it has to be only square, it has to be only superscript, nothing like that. So whatever format is chosen, it is important that the punctuation is consistently applied to the whole document. So that is very important. You have to be consistent in using the same style throughout the whole document. So here some examples are there. So here using round brackets. Okay, so as one author has put it, targets dates were still ahead. And square bracket like this. Okay, superscript like this. And even the author's name can be integrated into the text like this. Okay, Souls one has argued that, like that you can quote also. So that will depend on the rules which is followed by your college. Okay. Then if you are using more than one reference for one sentence, so that also is done. Okay, you are quoting, so not quoting reference, you have written as paraphrase or summarize the particular information, and you are using more than one reference, then you can use it like this. Okay, so you don't need to give any space in between the comma. If it is the references are in continuation, then you can just give a dash in between. Okay. So let's come to the referencing software. All right. So Zotero is a free software and commonly used. EndNote you have to buy. Even Mendeley also you have to buy. So if you are not using any other software, I suggest you can go for Zotero. It is easy to use and it will make your life very easy. Okay, it's really time saving, and I'll just try to give you some examples how to do it. So you can go to zotero.org, okay, this zotero.org, and you can download. And you can download according to your laptop, whatever you are using, Mac, Windows, Linux. So if you are using Mac, then you use, usually in Mac, there is Safari. Your search engine is Safari. So you can use Chrome for serving. That is much easier because there is some issue with Safari with Zotero. Okay, compatibility issue is there. And if you're using Windows, then it's fine. You can use Chrome, okay, for Zotero. And it along with the software, you have to download some add-ins or add-ons also for to embed in your Microsoft Word. So usually we use Microsoft Word. We don't use, I don't know, I've not seen any students using some other OpenOffice or some other software for documents. So if you're using MS Word, then you have to download the Zotero add-in for the MS Word to be integrated. Okay, so I'll just open a document and show you how it looks. and then you need to embed it in the Chrome also, in your search engine also. So there are three things here. So you are having the Zotero software in your system. You have the add-in embedded in your document where you want to add your references, and then you have the Zotero embedded in your search engine. Okay, so these three things have to be worked simultaneously. Okay, so the Zotero will look something like this. Okay, I'm just going to show you. Let me. Okay. So this is the Zotero icon in my computer. Can you see my screen? Divya, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. So this is my Zotero icon, and I have one Word document which is open here in my Word. This is my Word. Okay, so I have my Zotero embedded here. See this Zotero? So once you download the software, it will come like this. So here is the my Zotero, and this is my Zotero software. After downloading, you have to log in, and then you can create your own library. Okay, so here I have some of my library where I have made folders. So you can go here. Okay, you click new collection, and then I just write. Suppose I'm going to do a review on breastfeeding. Okay, so I'm rendering this as breastfeeding sample. I'm just putting a sample. Okay, this is my new collection. Now in my new collection, I don't have any article. Okay, so I don't have any article. I want to put some article. So let me go to my internet, and suppose I type something here, breastfeeding. All right. And let me go to WHO website. Okay. Or maybe let me take an article. So let me go to PubMed. And breastfeeding. Okay, let's make it exclusive breastfeeding. It's giving me a search word. So here there is one article. All right. So I want to save it in my Zotero. Okay, so what will I do here? See here, one icon is here. Okay, see here, one icon. Can you see? This is saying save to Zotero. Okay, so I just click here. And it's saving to, in my Zotero, I have opened my folder, the breastfeeding sample folder. Okay, so now it is saved. Can you see this? It has come now. I just click there, here in my Zotero icon, in the Chrome, and now this article is saved, okay, in my Zotero. Now I want to put this article, I want to cite this article in my document. Okay, so I go to my document. Where is my document? Word. Okay, so this is my document, and I want to say like breastfeeding here, something about breastfeeding I have written. I don't know, this is not breastfeeding, but just for example, I want to put my reference here. Okay, so what will I do? I will go to my Zotero. So this is my home. I've gone to my Zotero, and I will click this, add edit citation. Okay, so now this will open. So which style I want? See, the citation style is showing me. So I will go to Vancouver. Okay, a Vancouver style I want. I'll click OK. And now this is coming. So here I will go to the classic view. Okay, so go to classic view. And now this breastfeeding, this is my library in the Zotero, and these are my folders. So I want to go to the breastfeeding sample, which I have saved this article. Okay, so I want to quote this article. I will click here, okay, and I will say okay. So now it has come. Can you see this? The quotation has come. It's not quotation, sorry, the citation has come. Now I want to insert my reference at the end of my document. Okay, so I go to my end of my document, references, and I click here. Okay, add bibliography. Okay, it has come. All right. Now, once it is done, so I'll just show you how to add more than one more than one author. Okay, so one article. So here I want to add three art. So suppose I want to cite three articles. So I go to my citation and I go to classic view. And suppose I want to take from my folder, which is the postpartum family planning. Anything you can go. Breastfeeding, one more folder is here, breastfeeding. Let me go to this folder and I want to choose more than one. Then you go to the multiple source. Okay, multiple source. 1, 2, here one more one. You have to put the arrow. Okay, 2 arrow, 3 arrow. You can do up down also, like from here. You just want to quote this first, then you can just go up. Okay, like that. You can change the sequence also, and then you click OK. Fine. Now you go back to your Word. Here, see 2 to 4. It has come, and the references is updated itself. Got it? So this is how you will use the Zotero to cite your references. All right. Is that clear? Do you want me to repeat or is it fine?
It's clear, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. So we are coming to almost the end of the presentation. So what are the common problems with referencing? The first is citing too many references. Okay, so sometimes we get too enthusiastic and then we, cite too many. So there are no limits as such, but we can limit it to more than, less than 5. Okay, that is more than enough. Cite good references which are meaningful so that, you make an impact on your research. So you don't need to cite 10 references for just one sentence. All right. Citing too few references also you may not make an impact. Okay, so your writing may be too shallow if you are not citing good references. At least if you think that it's an important point for you, then cite at least 3 to 4. So that is a way to cite. Then inaccurate quoting of references. Okay, so sometimes you are not sure. Okay, what actually you have not gone through the whole article and you are trying to manipulate the information in a way that suits your results. Okay, in the discussion, especially we make mistake in the discussion. Okay, so that is not going to help you because you will not be able to publish your work in a good journal. They will question you in the review process. Okay, and you may not have answers. So that has to be avoided. Then not citing a reference where one is needed. Okay, so in this, we have to know that some facts, okay, suppose I say that hand washing reduces risk of infection. If I use just a sentence like that, everyone knows, okay, this is a general, universal truth. All right, so you may not need to cite a reference for that. But so for general facts, you don't need to. Okay, but for example, I say hand washing, has reduced the risk of infection by 60%. Okay, so now you have used a number, and you are using a specific number of a specific area. Okay, somewhere it has to be somewhere. 60% maybe in a public hospital, or maybe it can be in some other in an office. Maybe I don't know where. Okay, so you need to cite. A reference in this case to make it clear. All right. So has been shown, hand washing has been shown to reduce infection by around 60% in hospitals. Okay, in wards maybe, or maybe in a newborn unit. So you have to write the location as well as the reference. The citing of the reference is needed. Okay, so wherever you're using data, wherever you're using a specific location, okay, then you will need to cite a reference. Okay, it's just a general rule. Then using varying styles of reference. Okay, so sometimes students do that for their case presentation and all that. One source will be using APA, one will be Vancouver. Okay, so please avoid that. Okay, don't your thesis may be rejected if for that also. Okay, so you have to use consistently the same style throughout your whole document. Not crediting sources of data can lead you to trouble, can lead to legal trouble also. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. Nowadays with internet, everything is available everywhere. That doesn't mean that we will just use it without giving credit. All right, so respecting others' work is very important. Citing inaccessible sources as reference. So as far as possible, we can avoid that. Okay, so some universities, of course, will allow the unpublished thesis also, but that is accessible. Whatever is in the library is accessible, but some remote sources which are not accessible, okay, can be avoided as references. And usually when we say for thesis, it is not very strict, but if you are publishing an article, an original article, then we say that the references should not be more than 5 years. Very old reference also, it's not, very useful. Okay, unless you are quoting in the background, you are quoting some data, which is very essential. Okay. Then citing from secondary sources or without reading the full paper. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that you have read an article, and in the article, somebody has that article or the author has paraphrased someone else's work, and you are copying the same thing from there without checking the primary source. Okay, so that is very wrong and it should not be done. It may be that that source which you have quoted actually has quoted inaccurately. All right, then it becomes then you have quoted the same thing, cited the same thing in your thesis, the inaccurate thing. All right, so that is going to be a very big problem. So that means you have not clarified yourself and you have done a shortcut. Okay, so that is not acceptable. We should not do that. So what are the tips? Okay, final. So be aware, all right? So we have to check what your institution is using, which reference style you are expected to use, and be positive. Use properly references, strengthen your writing, demonstrating that you have spent time researching and digesting material and produced your own opinions and arguments. All right, so don't think of it as a huge burden, okay? Think about what you are working on actually. You are going to write a thesis, which is going to be very nice, and you're going to publish it. You are going to become a scholar. You are an MSc scholar and you're going to get a degree. Okay, so think positive and think that you are contributing to the body of knowledge, okay, through your thesis. Be decisive about the best way to cite your sources and how you should balance your use of direct quotations, paraphrasing, and summarizing. So you need to know, initially you will need practice, but when you practice and practice, you will learn how to do all this and where to use what. Okay, so usually in the review of literature section in the thesis, we use summarizing a lot. So, and even direct quotations you can use, but keep it minimal, all right? And paraphrasing can be mostly used in the discussion part, okay? And be organized, prepare well, and keep all records of potentially useful sources as you find them, okay? So keep a diary or note online, something, organizer, which will help you to organize your information. Like I have just shown you the Zotero also, bibliography software, which is quite useful in keeping all the record. And please don't think that the Zotero will give the correct the reference, okay, the correct reference every time. It is not like that. You may need to modify some of the references, okay, given in Zotero also, because some of the information which it is catching may not be full information. So please be prepared for that And if it is a PDF source, like some manual or some information is in PDF source, then you can also import that in your Zotero. Okay, you just have to copy paste it, and then you can. But it will just come as a PDF. It will not give you the proper referencing style. So you need to modify that by your own. Okay. Then be prepared. Okay, read the suitable reference information before you begin your first assignment. So I think with that, some more. Be consistent, that we have already explained, and be patient. Patience is very much needed in writing. Okay, your referencing is accurate or not. You may need to do it again and again, okay, because you will be getting more information. And by the time you start your thesis and you submit, 1 year would have gone. So you will be adding more, okay. So you have to be patient in doing your work and be clear and be thorough in making sure that you check again, okay, your references, so that the correct numbers are there and the citations are matching with your reference. All right. So in conclusion, okay, as students, sometimes we are tempted, okay, to just copy paste when it comes to referencing and writing literature and all that. And the devil in you will tell you, go ahead, do it. No one will know. Okay, but I know there's an angel in everyone also. And that angel will tell you, don't do it. It's plagiarism, it's stealing. All right. So I hope that you will be more persuaded by the angel in you and you will do good work. All the very best to you. If you have any questions, I can take. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for enhancing our knowledge on reference writing and tips. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for your explanation session. Now, the session is open for discussion. If you want to clarify doubts, please unmute your mic and ask question. Otherwise, you can put your questions on the chat box. The respective resource persons will clarify your doubts.
Okay, Divya. Once again, good morning to everyone. There were 2 questions for me, that is regarding review of literature. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
The first question was, yes, the first question was, how many literature review is needed for a dissertation or a research? So here, okay, no university has criteria, especially in Kuhas. We don't have any certain criteria how many research review literature is needed for a dissertation, but it depends on the extent of the study. If it is a long study, you can use many of the literature as much as possible. You can collect the literature and write it down. But if it is a short study, something like research paper or a project, you can use nearly 10 to 15 review of literature. And in coming to thesis session, we used to, or we advise the students to keep nearly at least 30 review of literature in the second chapter, at least 20 to 30 literature. And another thing, in every chapter, we used to keep a review of literature support or recommendation or the idea. And this review of literature should provide a validity and credibility of the research, that is your research. And the next question is, can you share any example format of review of literature in the dissertation? Yes. Divya, I would like to share my slide to show an example format of review of literature. Here I plotted an example of review of literature. In the summary, I have told you Review of the paper should have type of the study, order and year, purpose and type of the study, settings, data collection method, apply to criteria, content, major findings, recommendations and implications, key thoughts and comments, summary or conclusion. So by this idea, I have done a small example. A study was conducted to analyze the awareness and attitude of people perception towards household solid waste disposal in Kumbarakonam town, Tamil Nadu. A total of 300 samples, that is 183 males and 117 females, were observed in the age group between 18 to 60 years. Data collected using questionnaire. The results showed that 11.7% had separate waste streams to be gradable and only gradable. Only 32% of the people who used electronic books. Most of the respondents were not aware of the solid waste disposal and management. Few respondents, that is 12%, suggested that the municipality must clean the town and dustbin twice. They must increase the number of dustbins in every street, that is 5%, and keep covered dustbins. 4% were suggested that keep covered dustbins. Nearly 79 suggested that the cleanliness of the city was more vital. So it has all the things. That is, I have mentioned type of the study, order and year, that will be bibliography, and a purpose, setting, data collection method, the content, major findings of the study, recommendations. Hope you understood. Hope you got an idea regarding that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all for your active participation. Next, I invite Ms. Ashwini R., first year MSc Nursing student, Ashwini College of Nursing, for delivering vote of thanks. I welcome you, Ms. Ashwini R.
Thank you, Ms. Divya. Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of the organizing team, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's occasion a resounding success. We take this golden opportunity to express heartfelt thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. Lieutenant Colonel Rosie Ko, for unstinted support, guidance, and the encouragement for this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I extend my special gratitude to our Vice Principal, Professor Dr. Nandini M., for her guidance, valuable contributions, suggestions, and support for this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Angela Nyanadure, Principal, Jubilee Mission College of Nursing, Thrissur, for making an engrossing presentation on a practical guide to write synopsis. It has really enriched and expanded our arena of knowledge on synopsis presentation. Thank you, ma'am. I extend my bouquet of thanks to Mrs. Reshmi C.R., PhD scholar, Associate Professor, Ashwini College of Nursing, Thrissur, for an outstanding presentation on strategies of develop a review of literature. It is beneficial to us. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Mrs. Lewis Murray, Associate Professor, College of Nursing, AIMS, New Delhi, for an interesting presentation on an art of research writing. It is worthwhile to us, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank Professor Kavita B., Ashwini College of Nursing, for felicitating this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank our organizing secretary, Mrs. Delna P. Davis, Assistant Professor, Ashwini College of Nursing, Thrissur, for her support and guidance for this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. For smooth conduct of the webinar, we have been working under various committees under the direction of faculty members as a committee chairpersons. Hence, I would like to thank all the committee chairpersons and all other faculty members. Thank you all. Without delegates, the webinar will never be a success. I would like to thank all the delegates who made this occasion a great success. Thank you all. Last but not least, I thank all my classmates for shouldering the responsibilities equally, which made this webinar a great success. Thank you all. Thank you.
Here is one more question from the session 2. In review of literature, year of study is necessary or not? There is one another question for session 3 is what could be the most illegal form of plagiarism? Is this commonly seen among third beginners? Liz, ma'am, please.
Sorry, Divya, can you please repeat the question again?
Yes, ma'am. What would be the most illegal form of plagiarism? Is this commonly seen among third beginners?
I'm not sure what is the worst form of plagiarism, but I think plagiarism as such, it is not acceptable. And nowadays there are anti-plagiarism softwares which are available, and when you send your even your thesis also, you can check it in your library. Authenticate is one software which is used. So there is the quantum of plagiarism as such. I'm not sure it is whether it is posing as somebody. It can be of many forms, like you are copying it from some other journal, or it can be like you are not the author but you are posing as the author, or other forms of plagiarisms. All right, so all are punishable, and punishable in a sense like it will be decided by the institution whether to be debarred, or maybe you may not be allowed to submit your thesis, or you may be rusticated from the course. So those are to be decided by your institution. All right, but all forms of plagiarism, as a professional, whatever work you are doing, whatever research work you do, ultimately your goal is to disseminate the information. So if you are practicing any form of plagiarism, then you will not be able to disseminate your information. So it is going to be a loss for you personally, as well as loss for the scientific community. So I hope I answered the question partially. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. If there is any other question. Thank you all for your active participation by asking questions. Here we are wind up the session. Once again, thank you all for participation for the success of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.